Hello, and welcome to Five for Friday for this hot and sunny Friday, June 24th. Are you starting to see some trends in some of the stories I'm sharing? I'm seeing a lot of the same topics over and over again. So I think I'm going to look back at some of the past stories and see how some of the news that I shared a few months ago has, progressed since now. And I'm curious to hear what stands out to you and what news stories are you feeling like might be impacting your small business in the coming years. So, we should totally have a conversation about that soon. I'm going to make a note to have a conversation from my small but supportive audience of Five for Friday followers. So thanks for following me yet again with these 5 stories from this week. So let's get started with story number 1, price adjustments due to inflation. Big companies are experimenting to see how high they can adjust their prices before their sales are impacted. And they found out they can raise them higher than they thought they could based on what they knew from the past. Restaurants, on the other hand, don't have nearly as much price elasticity. So what have you done with pricing changes this year? Do you know how elastic your prices are? And have you optimized your prices to be as good as they can be? Something to think about. Moving on to story number 2, 2 creepy stories, one that I thought was a Black Mirror episode. First, for those of you who are frustrated by hard to understand accents from customer service reps, good news, there's now AI technology that can eliminate or change the accent of someone as they speak. Not sure what I think about that. And in other news, Amazon's Alexa is figuring out how to replicate voices after hearing someone speak for only a minute, including your deceased loved ones. Who doesn't want your dead grandma telling you what the temperature is when you ask Alexa? Another startup is allowing you to capture the stories and voices of your loved ones to, quote, replicate a person in the form of a chatbot. I think that's the Black Mirror episode I saw. What will this look like in a few years? Will we forget that people even have accents? What does that mean? Do we really want to talk to dead people or have no accents? What will this mean to your business as opposed to your personal life? You never know, so keep an eye on this signal of change. So speaking of robots taking over humans, let's move on to story number 3, robots taking human jobs. Good news for Amazon, who's running out of people to hire and fire, so they're busy creating robots for their warehouses to take over. Meanwhile, in both South Korea and Singapore, there are companies busy automating as much as possible in both the corporate office and in manufacturing, so we may be learning from them. In California, robots are taking over the labor-intensive tasks of pruning grapevines, reducing the need for human labor by 100%. And then when we transport products, we could be using some weird-looking autonomous trucks that are expected to be on the road in a few months in Tennessee. So let's make sure we don't train any of those conversational robots using the internet, though, as it also turns out that that turns them into racist and sexist robots. No shock on the story there. While these stories might be entertaining and or scary, you should really be thinking about how automation can help your own business and what you can explore and learn about for ways to automate the tasks that you have at hand. So moving on to story number 4, continuing in the world of AI. Some AI can be used for good, like a nonprofit that's using satellite imagery and AI to better understand deforestation and poverty in Brazil, looking at satellite images and trying to anticipate and improve situations in that area. Back in New York City, machine learning startups are focused on the present more than the future with a new capability called nowcasting. Like forecasting, it involves capturing a bunch of data, stock prices, supply chain pricing, salaries, and so forth, to help companies make critical decisions, whether that's trading in the stock market or procuring supplies. However, it's expensive software, so it's going to the big companies, not the small ones. So, and an interesting story about working in the metaverse gone wrong. 18 university staff agreed to work all week with their VR goggles. 2 of them dropped right away due to nausea, and the rest of them were more frustrated, more anxious, and had more eye problems than ever before. So, moving on to story number 5. Is small better than big after all? We saw the trends. Johnson & Johnson and GE broke up into smaller companies, and now Kellogg is doing the same, breaking into 3 companies for snacks, cereal, and plant-based food. Smaller is more nimble, apparently. Kind of ironic, since so many of these companies are the size they are due to tons of M&A activity in the past trying to prove that bigger was better. Consulting firm Ernst & Young is also breaking up, mainly due to U.S. government pressure. Not a good idea to have the auditors and the accountants/consultants working for the same company. Good news for those top employees at Ernst & Young, though. The split is expected to bring them multi-million-dollar payouts. Nice. Meanwhile, McDonald's is getting stricter with its franchise owners, requiring them to meet stringent requirements every 20 years to ensure the businesses aren't passed along to family members who don't know what they're doing. And on an interesting note, Walmart is trying to reduce its dependence on giant technology companies. Ironic? Not sure. In any case, they are shifting so they can work with more than one cloud provider and also manage their own unique servers. Right now, Amazon, Microsoft, and Google pretty much dominate cloud services. And don't forget, I still have my recession yes or no stories at the end of the newsletter. This week, I'm reporting 3 stories in the yes category and 2 in the no, or at least not yet category. So I'm curious where you fall. Have you been following along? Do you think that we're heading towards a recession? What are your signals of change for that particular situation? So anyway, thanks so much for making it all the way to the end of this 5 for Friday video. My data tells me that not all my viewers watch the whole video, so I appreciate you who watched to the end. Have a great weekend, and I will see you next week. Thanks.